Hello, traders. It's Thursday morning, April 14th. We have a holiday tomorrow. Happy Easter, everyone. Let's get to it. My last pick was IBM. I liked it short, and this is where we got into that trade. So this is Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Excuse me. We're right about here when the video came out, and you can see how the stock continued to slip from about 127.20 to about 125. As I mentioned in the video, very low option implied volatility, so you could buy these options at the money, fairly cheap, even in the money. Decent move lower, but then towards the middle of the day yesterday when the market took off, you can see how that's the opening from the stock, and the stock barely was able to get above that opening price, even with a gigantic market rally. I did exit the position yesterday. You've got a nice, clearly defined downward sloping trend line right here. And I can draw that for you. Once that was breached and once you saw the market absolutely taking off yesterday, you had to take your gains. And we'll take a look at what the S&P 500 did. Look at the move in the S&P 500. So, we're short. We get that kind of adverse market movement. If you were short S&P futures, you would have had your head handed to you. But because we are in the right stock, we were able to watch this move unfold, and look what happened during the initial stages of that market rally. Stock continued to sell off. Relative weakness. That's what we trade. That's why every one of these picks in these videos is a winner. Please go back, look at every single video for weeks and weeks. So let's take a look at the market. Let's see what we got cooking today. Let's find another pick. You can see that IBM did have a big gap up today, and it's been able for the most part to hold the gains even though the market has been coming in. Some pre-earnings jitters, nervousness. Once a stock gets really, really close to its earnings announcement, I tend to avoid it. IBM announces earnings next Tuesday. So let's take a look at the market. Look at this rally unfold yesterday. Relentless buying. You would think that this morning the market would open higher and never look back with this type of buying. This is all program driven. If we start to take a look at what happened the previous day, it was exactly the opposite. Look at that selling. A 15-minute chart will help us identify that. And you can see big sell-off all day long, big rebound. This makes it very difficult to swing trade. You don't know what the heck the market is going to do from one day to the next. So what you want to do is you want to wait for that action to unfold, and then you want to take advantage of that move. Once you start seeing that, yes, this is going to be a bullish day, you want to get behind that move, knowing that programs are going to drive the action. If you go into a daily chart, just a bunch of nonsense. You can see a gap down here, then we compress for a while. This is the majority of the move. Then a gap down, and then we compress again. If you look at a weekly chart, this is like a doji formation. Let's do that. And this is what the action so far has been this week. Pretty close right now to where we started the week. So not a lot going on. Very difficult to hold overnight positions, but great for day trading. Earnings season is kicking off. The banks are starting to report earnings. The reaction has been fairly negative. Banks are going to dominate the early scene as far as earnings season is concerned. We won't really get into the mega cap tech stocks for another week or so, and those typically attract buyers because there's a lot of optimism built into those numbers. So as far as the market is concerned, on a intraday basis, right now we've got a little bit of support right here. You can see the candles are compressing. Context, context, context. I preach it all the time. What is the context right now? The context is we are in pre-holiday mode right now. So the volume is going to dry up. The price action is going to dry up. This early move right here looked very bearish. Long red candles stacked, and that was during a bullish cycle. Now we've got a bearish cross, and what's happened during this bearish cross? Nothing. Would this suggest that we might drift higher? We could. What this tells me personally is, again, this is all program driven. Had a nice rally yesterday. This is about the last 2 hours of the trading session, and then whap. We take those late gains away, and then we flounder around probably for the rest of the day. But that doesn't mean that we can't find opportunities that are setting up. Boy, I have got some super exciting news to share with you. I've been trying to get my algo lines released, and finally we do have them in a custom search. So we're going to click on custom search, and what we're looking for is we're looking for breakouts on a longer term basis. However, we can search for them intraday as well. And so we're going to go through and we're going to take a look at some of these lines. So right now in custom search, there's algo line for D1. Yes, you can also search for them intraday. Obviously, the shorter term your algo lines are, the less relevant they are. That would be just like a 100 period moving average on a 5-minute basis is not going to be as meaningful as a 100-day moving average. But these algo line breaches in here, when they agree across multiple time frames, can really help you with your trade entry if you're a short-term swing trader looking for that ideal entry point. So let's go and take a look at some searches. I ran this one early, and we're going to get right to the pick of the day. Market down today. Show me a stock that's had relative strength on a 5-minute and a 15-minute basis. Show me a stock that has a trade signal bullish on a daily basis. Show me a stock that is above an algo line on a daily basis. Show me a stock that's above the prior day high. Show me a stock with good option liquidity. When I run this scan, there are my search results. Now we're going to take a look at Target because it is a stock that I'm watching today. I really, really like this stock. So we're going to zoom out, take a look at that daily chart, and you can see how it's getting through the 200-day moving average. Target is your pick of the day. I love the fact that it's been able to clear this horizontal resistance level. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. Excellent. Did so on heavy volume. And now on a down market day, stock is able to get through a major resistance level. 1, 2, 3. Now it's getting above that horizontal resistance, which happens to be at the 200-day moving average. Put up the 5-minute chart. Beautiful. Put up that 10 SI indicator. You can see orange line above 0. You can see heavy volume coming in. Put in the 10 volume indicator. You can see volume better than average. So this has all the makings of a really nice trade. If by chance target closes below the 200-day moving average, you would exit that trade. So how do I play this? Well, first of all, if you're looking at this video later in the day, what you'll want to do is check target. Check it 10 minutes before the close. If the stock is above the 200-day moving average, you'll want to take a long position if you feel that the market is going to rally into earnings season next week, and if you're bullish on the market. I'm actually pretty market neutral in here. I don't know what the market's going to do day to day, but I do like the fact that we've had longer term support right in this area here, and we've got horizontal support forming this 430 level right here. This prior support level, I believe, is one that will hold, and it's one that I'm watching very closely. Now, the market is below a couple of major moving averages, but you can see not by much. It's been able to find support in here. I think it's going to be able to do that for at least 2 or 3 weeks till we get through April, we get through those earnings. Then as we get into May, you've got to be very, very careful. That's when I think we're going to see some nervous jitters ahead of the May FOMC meeting, where it's very likely that they're going to do a 50 basis point interest rate hike. That is going to spook the market. So I am just looking for a little reprieve here for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't want to have a lot of risk exposure. I don't want to get overly cute with this. But for right now, I think the market's going to be okay for a few weeks, and I'm looking for stock that fits the bill. And there's TGT. So let's go through and take a look at a couple. You can see how it's continuing to push higher. Let's go take a look at a couple of other stocks that might fit this criteria. And so I'm going to eliminate some of these constraints just to get more results, and then we'll be able to flip through and take a look at some stocks that are coming up on this trend line breach here. And we'll keep relative strength up there. I've got to limit this somehow, so I'm going to. Now we're just going to take a look at some of these. Now these trend line breaches, and we'll take a look at a couple of bearish ones as well. I'm going to go into a daily chart and going to take a look at just a few off the top. AEM, so you can see there's an upline breach right there. This is a downward sloping trend line breach to the upside. Symbol ARCC makes it really easy to find these. This is actually an upside trend line breach right in there. A little bit harder to see that one. Same thing here, BOIL, BOIL. This would be a downside trend line breach. And I'm going to go in, DAL. There you can see clearly defined downward trend line breach to the upside. So these breaches could have happened in the last day, could have happened in the last week, maybe even the last 10 days. I just released this feature, so I may put some restrictions on how long that breach has been out there, because obviously if we're getting to the 2-week point, that train has left the station. I will also be putting up a algo line new search so that we can see these breakouts when they're happening instantly. Only thing with that is you do need a little bit of confirmation. You don't necessarily want to buy the very first second that it breaks out. You want to make sure that you're able to close above that level. So let's go in and take a look at a couple of bearish ones, and we'll mark algo line bearish breakdown, and then we will run the search and we'll take a look at what we've got there. So these are some of the stocks that are coming up in that search right here. And you can see IBM was on that search. That's how it came to my attention. So let's start there, since that was one that we were just looking at. And that's what got me into the trade. And that's why it worked. Upward sloping trend line right here. There's your downward sloping, or excuse me, there's your downside breach of that upward sloping trend line. So very, very effective. Let me go in and take a look at a couple of others. Netflix, you can see there's your upside trend line, breach to the downside. Google actually has been coming up on the list, although it has some overlapping candles. There is a trend line breach right there. And let's take a look at Google very quickly. There is your trend line right there, and you can see Google has breached it. So these trend line breaches are very significant. When you start adding other variables to this search criteria, relative strength, trend signals, HA candles stacked, below prior day's low, heavy volume, option liquidity, you start to see how many checkboxes you can mark. And the more checkboxes you mark, the higher your probability of success for these trades. That's the entire concept. So target, I like it. I'm long it right now. If you want to be more conservative, wait to make sure that it holds that 200-day moving average, and just before the close, buy it. I think you'll be happy when you see that next week. Happy Easter, everyone. Please leave your comments. I will do my best to respond. Trade well. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.